Welcome to the stream, boys and girls. It's nice to be back. So I haven't looked at the markets in a whole week, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know the weekly close. I don't know how the monthly time frame closed. So I'm gonna be going over all of this live with you guys, so you can see my progress and my approach to the market. So let's go straight up to the monthly candle. All right, so let's go to Bitcoin. Obviously, you always want to start with Bitcoin. Don't go into altcoins just yet. Start with Bitcoin. And what we're seeing is, well, the monthly time frame still looks kind of fucked, right? But it does look like it wants to bounce. So we had this impulsive candle to the downside. This was in June, and July basically closed around the same levels, but it didn't really close below the June monthly low. So mostly it was just price action that was consolidating and going sideways. So we still have potential for Bitcoin to bounce, right? So this month just started. Let's look at the weekly chart. Okay, so Bitcoin is still under weekly resistance. It still has this weekly supply zone, and it has this Woodsbot weekly level as well, right? We can see that the price action rejected 2 times of this Woodsbot level, and we still haven't broken that. Even though I was gone for a week, it nothing really happened in the meantime. So it seems like I didn't miss a lot. If I go to the 5-day time frame, it's still the same. We still have weekly bullish divergence. Yeah, we still have valid weekly bullish divergence, so that's good. Volatility is still basically around the same level, so yeah, even on the 5-day chart, you can see the volatility is at 0 percentile. This usually means that price action is not gonna have a super crazy move, you know. But if volatility is actually expanding off the lows, which it naturally does, so if you see volatility increasing from the 0 percentile, which should happen in the next period, right? Oh, we actually do have a weekly, a 5-day candle closer. Yeah, I mean, volatility should start to increase. I mean, it's exactly at 0 percentile, so it can't go any lower. It still can go. It can still consolidate for quite some time, you know, but there should at least be some volatility increasing on the 5-day chart. The 3-day chart still kind of looks the same. Volatility is dead on the 3-day chart as well. There's not much going on here either. Let me take a sip of water. How are you guys? How have you been? How was trading last week while I was gone? Did you guys make some money? Did you lose money? How was it like? Man, all the other higher time frames look the same. Like no time frame gives me some niche information, you know. They all basically tell me the same thing, that Bitcoin is still under resistance and there's no volatility at all at the moment. Like, it's completely dead. I mean, the daily setup, daily time frame still looks the same as well. We do have a daily trend going on. So if you just draw a basic trend line on the daily time frame, you can see that Bitcoin is basically respecting this trend line, but it is also respecting this support zone. And as long as Bitcoin holds this Woodsbot confluence zone, then it can actually, you know what, this actually looks quite decent, I have to say. If you guys remember from last week, I was saying that Bitcoin should be favoring longs rather than shorts. So I'm still biased for Bitcoin to push up more than it is going to go down, in my opinion. And as long as Bitcoin manages to hold this Woodsbot confluence zone, I think it can still have some nice upside. Potentially, you know, and then it looks like a descending triangle, you know, and consolidates and consolidates, and potentially breaks out, retests the trend line, and then pushes up again. This would at least this would align with the volatility coming up, but it still needs some time to develop, in my opinion. The 12-hour, what do we have here? Still under resistance, and I think it's still likely that just looking based on the market structure, right? Bitcoin makes lower highs all the way, lower lows. So Bitcoin should pump up a little bit into this area, maybe into this trend line. It probably aligns with a lower time frame Woodsbot level as well. Then you probably get a rejection of this level, and maybe then you can look for longs for a potential long again inside this area, in this confluence zone. At least that's what I'm thinking initially. The 4-hour chart looks nice. Bitcoin managed to make a higher low, I think. Let me see. The Bitcoin closed around 62.5k, and that was 62.496. Okay, so Bitcoin might actually made a higher low on the 4-hour candle. So this is nice. This is some bullish movement. This is some bullish market structure. So at least Bitcoin has something going on. But it's still under resistance. In fact, it's right at resistance. See these Woodsbot levels? That is marking beautifully levels. You can see how Bitcoin always reacted off this zone, right? So 63.8k is a really important level. And currently it's trying to flip it, but do we have any lower time frame bearish divergence? Not on the 30-minute, not on the 1 hour. There's no bearish divergence on the 15-minute either. Not even on the 5-minute. Okay. Not bad. So there's no bearish divergence, but Bitcoin is at resistance. And if you would have now bearish divergence, this could potentially be a short, in my opinion. But since it doesn't have that, I might be looking to short higher. Pull up my Fibonacci levels. How have you been, Kim Possible? Did you make some nice trades? Okay, so my Fibonacci levels of interest are around 64k.2. So this actually aligns perfectly with the trend line. So this is an area for potential shorts. But do we have any Woodsbot levels around this level? Let's see. The 1 hour we don't. Only 4 hour we do only 30 minutes. So this could be a potential short area for me, but it's not the strongest. Like, even though a trend line is a nice confluence to have, it's not part of my strategy that I use. I use it for the additional confluence, but it's not a main. It's not a main confluence for me, because trend lines can be very subjective. So when I draw a trend line, doesn't mean it's the correct way to do it, And I'd rather rely on something like the indicator that always gives me logical levels instead of subjective levels, right? I'm doing CMT learning, so I don't have the time to do my own stuff in detail right now. What is CMT learning? I'm not sure I'm familiar with this word. Chartered market technician. Oh, okay, damn. Nice, good for you. That's cool. Yeah, my geek. Yeah, it's nice. I thought about doing this as well at some point, but I never really got to do this. Let me know how it goes. Level 1, I don't think you'd have to study, to be honest. Maybe, I mean, I'm... maybe. Like, I mean, I'm not the worst when it comes to studying for stuff like this. I did end up managing to finish my university bachelor's degree, but when it comes to other stuff, sometimes it's kind of hard for me to learn other things. I love learning, like I actually do. So I think for me the best area for Bitcoin to short is probably this confluence zone. Like, I can see a world where Bitcoin pushes up towards this trend line, right, and into the Fibonacci levels, and it rejects from this level. But since I'm not seeing any bearish divergence, and price is basically only 0.5% away from this trend line, I do think it can go higher. You can see how basically Bitcoin always pushes through this trend line, but doesn't close above it, And I can see Bitcoin doing the same again, where it pushes through the trend line, potentially into this Woodsbot premium indicator level, this confluence zone, and then it rejects, and then closes the 4 hour below this trend line. I think this is the better play, at least when it comes to risk to reward ratio. You always want to try to find setups that have the best possible validation for you. So if you're looking for trades, for example, I can potentially short this trend line right when Bitcoin comes into this trend line. But when it comes to risk to reward ratio, it is better for me to wait for Bitcoin to go into extremes, especially when Bitcoin is ranging like it is right now. Even though Bitcoin is trending down technically on the daily time frame, right? It is still in this range, right? You can see how it is respecting the same highs. You can see how price action is respecting the same lows all over and over again. So it is ranging, and in a range you want to trade based on extremities and have a tight, the tightest possible invalidation as possible, So you want to be really greedy and patient when it comes to your entries, because this allows you to have the best possible risk to reward ratio, best entries, and the less risk in a range, which is what you want. When a coin is trending, you need to be more aggressive and you need to be willing to enter earlier. But when it comes to range trading, you just have to be really super fucking patient. So even though this trend line is technically speaking a decent level for potential shorts, and I can see Bitcoin rejecting from this level, I still rather would want to short this level. And it would align with my Fibonacci levels. It would align with my Woodsbot levels. So I have two confluences there. And my invalidation, if this would be my entry, so this confluence zone would be my entry, my invalidation would be above these highs. And my potential profit target would be first the retest of this trend line. But then also I want this level for a potential higher low. And then the third possible TP point would be Bitcoin following the trend in making new lows, right? I don't think that's going to be happening, but you know, if you short this trend line and your entry is right here, I want this level, your first profit target would be around this potentially higher low. And it's not the best risk to reward ratio, you know. You can see this is a negative risk to reward ratio. And you do want to have positive risk reward ratio, especially in range trading. That's kind of like trading, so I don't mind learning this so much. Yeah, I mean, I'm a I always like to learn. Like, I'm a nerd, you know. Like, I'm such a nerd when it comes to video games, and I'm a nerd when it comes to science. I learned a lot. I studied biology for some time before I canceled that and switched to economics, you know. But I always liked science. I like math, I like chemistry, I like physics, all this kind of stuff. When it comes to longs, so this is where I will be looking for shorts. So for shorts, I will be looking around 64.6k. This will be my short area of interest. For my longs, it would be the opposite. So if price action comes into this Woodsbot confluence zone, and I expect price action to reject from this level, then for potential longs, I would target this daily Woodsbot level around 62.9k. Let's see if it would align with Fibonacci. So just speaking, so this is not an actual setup, but if I'm assuming that Bitcoin is going to reach this confluence zone, and this is where Bitcoin rejects, I can preemptively place my Fibonacci retracement. This is not what I would recommend doing. You always have to wait for the proper actual price action, but just for the sake of the stream, you know, look for where I would be looking for levels. And you can see this would also align with Fibonacci levels as well. So this Woodsbot level. So this is a Woodsbot levels where I will be willing to look for longs. But it's gonna take some time for price action to get there, right? Price action hasn't confirmed a rejection yet or anything like that. So this is just assuming price action. But this is a potential area for me to long, but only if price action rejects from this level. The reasoning why I'm assuming a higher low is because Bitcoin has bullish divergence here on the 4-hour candle, and after it had bullish divergence, it made a higher low, right? And what I'm expecting is for Bitcoin to keep respecting the trend. So this is a downtrend, right? And I'm expecting Bitcoin to respect the downtrend on the first try, then reject, but then also respect this trend right here where it's making higher lows. Then it's going to make a higher low. And then on the second try, there's potential for Bitcoin to break this downtrend, you know? So this is what I'm expecting at the moment right now. Or what I'm assuming, rather. But yeah, let's see what Bitcoin does in the next couple of hours. I don't think it's gonna take too much time for Bitcoin to reach this confluence zone. I mean, it's looking quite strong at the moment. On lower time frame, it's consolidating, but there's no bearish divergence or anything, so I don't think I don't see a reason for Bitcoin to reject just right now. Or actually, there's 5-minute bearish divergence, but I mean, yeah, there's 5-minute bearish divergence. Not the end of the world, you know. But there's no 50-minute bearish divergence yet or anything like that. So yeah, I'm expecting for Bitcoin to reach at least 64k, 64.5k. I want this level. This is what where I would be interested in shorts, and after that I would be interested in 62.8k. Alright, so my plans are set for both of these levels. Once again, I'm gonna mark out my short area. So this will be the setup for the short area. This is where my entry is. My stop loss is above this swing high and the Woodsbot level right there. And my profit target is this level, this Woodsbot level, and this Woodsbot level. This gives me positive risk-reward ratio, and I also respect the trend structure. Alright. I know Pump Fund has been performing quite nicely lately. I haven't looked at that recently, so let's give it a go. If you guys have any icons you want me to look at, or any charts, even if it's like a super shitcoin, you know, just type in chat. I'm gonna have a look at that. Alright, so Pump Fund. I've been long Pump Fund for quite some time. I closed my long before I got surgery. So, you know, I didn't want to get dumped on when I was having surgery, you know. So I basically closed my trade in profits. It was not the biggest profits, but at least some profits, you know. But Pump Fund is under pretty fucking heavy resistance. And it has bearish divergence on the daily time frame. You can see the RSI is making lower lows 3 times, and price action is making higher highs. So you have bearish divergence on the daily time frame, while price action is under heavy resistance under this confluence zone. So I'm not looking at any longs for Pump Fund. I do think you can look for shorts. Let me see if on lower time frame there's anything happening. Okay, so on lower time frame it's consolidating. Probably tries to push up higher again. But yeah, there's nothing too long here. Like nothing too long at all. The only place I would be interested in longing would be a pullback from this resistance. So if price action gets into this area right here, there's likely to be also some Woodsbot levels. Yeah, so there's a Woodsbot level inside this Fibonacci zone around 0.00194. So this will be a place to look for potential longs in Pump Fund. But it kind of looks cooked, you know. Like I would be surprised if Pump Fund just pushes through this resistance. I would be really surprised. Volatility is decreasing on the daily time frame as well. So I'm not expecting any new all-time highs breakout or any resistance breakouts from this point. I think pump fund, so either pump fund holds the support line where it's at right now and consolidates for a couple of days or even weeks, and then it pushes through this resistance, or pulls back first. I think a pullback is more likely than pump fund holding this the support for a couple of days. It might be the case, but just looking based on the market structure, I don't think the swing low is in yet, and it's at heavy resistance. So yeah, I think pump fund is kind of not dead. I'm still gonna keep an eye on this, especially when it pushes up again above this resistance. But for now, I think it's better to focus on other coins. Can you check Uni? Yep, for sure. So pump fund, not of interest for now, but I do think it's gonna be interesting later on once it accepts above this confluence zone. And if it does happen, you can basically target the next confluence zone, which is 20% away, So you can have a really nice swing right there. It's just gonna take some time for price action to break this resistance. I want to have a look at type first, Giovanni, and then I'm gonna look at Uni. So hype is actually looking. Is it actually okay? Yeah, so hype is actually looking quite nice. I saw this in the morning. I didn't actually really follow it, but I saw it in the morning that it had nice triple bullish divergence. So it had bullish divergence, triple bullish divergence. It swept this massive low, and this low led hype to push towards new all-time highs, right? So this low is really important, and hype swept this low. Did it actually close below? Yeah, so it closed a daily candle below this low, which is not the best bullish signal. So there's still potential for some weakness, just looking based on the market structure. But if you go to the 4-hour chart, it has some nice bullish divergence. It has triple bearish bullish divergence, and price action came into a Woodsbot confluence zone. So this was a really nice entry if you took it. And now hype is at resistance. So if you are in a long position on hype, I would advise you to at least take some profits off the table, potentially move your stops break even, because I do think this can definitely retest. You have this 4-hour supply zone right here. You have this 4-hour supply zone, and this is an area for a potential lower high, right? If you go to the daily time frame, you can see obviously the trend is to the downside on hype, right? It kept making lower highs and lower lows. So if you follow the market structure, which is to the downside, you should assume that price action is gonna be making a lower high around this area. So if price action continues to the downside, it should make a lower high right here. It is at resistance right now. It is in this supply zone on the 4-hour time frame. It is also sitting it is also sitting at a Woodsbot level right now. Does it have bearish divergence? It actually doesn't have bearish divergence right now. So even though it is sitting at resistance, it is also not a short setup that I could play. Because for me, for my trading strategy, I always need a divergence, right? I need a bearish divergence or I need a bullish divergence. Neither of that is happening right now. So I do think this is a good area to short, but you don't have the additional confluence and confirmation of a bearish divergence, right? So it's always kind of hard to trust a zone if there's no bearish divergence on the low time frame. So I'm not gonna personally take this short setup, but I do think this is the place where hype should reject from, if it's gonna be rejecting at all. And if it's gonna be rejecting, I think you should be looking for longs. Because of this triple bullish divergence, and you can see how price action basically made a higher low right here, right? It pushed up, went into resistance, made a higher low, and this was your signal to go long if you missed this triple bullish divergence. And now price action is pushing up into resistance again. So there's potential for price action to reject again. And if it's going to reject, obviously the ideal place would be to long this level again, right? Because this is the zone where hype broke out of, and this would be ideal for price action to hold. But I don't know if we gonna get this. It looks sometimes levels look too perfect, you know. Like sometimes a level looks so perfect that you don't think it's too perfect to be true. And if a level looks too perfect to be true, oftentimes you don't get the level. So it would be nice for price action to get there again. So I'm gonna set myself an alert for this level. But I'm not certain that price action is gonna go there. I think what is more likely for a hype to do is to probably go back towards 33.5 and then bounce from this level. Let me see if it aligns with Fibonacci as well. So it actually doesn't align with Fibonacci. At least only 4 hour. Maybe this is too greedy of an entry or level. But let me actually see if I don't take the 4 hour setup market structure, but the 1 hour market structure. And then it would align with Fibonacci levels. But I think it's too aggressive for now. Even though hype is super strong, it has no bearish divergence right now, right? Like hype can also just easily basically push through this supply zone right here, push through this level. It could also push through, accept above, hold this level, consolidate, and then push up again, you know, and then go for this confluence zone. So for hype, I think you also have to be patient right now if you're not in a long position, because you don't have any bearish divergence. So shorting is out of the question, even though this is a good area to short. But you can also you also cannot long because, well, hype is at resistance, right? And your invalidation is just too far below too long. So based on the risk to reward ratio, you cannot really long here, and shorts are, at least for me, impossible because I don't have any bearish divergence. So I'm gonna be waiting for hype to either flip this level right here, or for hype to come back into these Woodsbot levels. Ideally, you get an entry on this retest right here. I think it's easily, super easily visible for the eye to see why this area is important. Right, this is where price action rejected and broke out from. This would be the ideal spot for hype. There's not much else for hype to do, or analyze from. So let's look at Uni. Man, this heat wave is killing me. I don't know if you guys have also another heat wave, but my god, it's so fucking hot right here. Like, it's actually like, I'm sweating like crazy. Uni actually looks good. This is a really, really nice daily flip of this resistance. You had this for high right here, you had this high, your price action rejecting from this level. So this was a massive level of resistance, and Uni basically just closed the candle, daily candle above this, and it's now retesting this confluence zone where it broke out of from. So if you're looking for longs, I think this is the only place to look for longs right now. Like, daily momentum is looking pretty bearish, I have to say. 12-hour momentum is also not looking the best. 4-hour momentum is also bearish, pretty bearish. Do we have any bullish divergence? Okay, we don't have any bullish divergence. We do have only 5 minutes, but I don't go lower than the 50-minute to look for bullish divergence. So based on the market structure itself, this is a prime area to look for longs, 100%. Like this confluence zone, this is a super good area to look for longs, but you need to have bullish divergence. And right now you don't have bullish divergence. So, but if price action gets into this Woodsbot confluence zone, so if you have the indicator, you will be able to see the confluence zone. And if you then have 15-minute bullish divergence, I do think this is a pretty good area to go long on. I'm actually gonna be setting myself alerts for this. So this would be your setup, but only if you have bullish divergence. If you don't have bullish divergence, don't take the trade, because Uni can definitely just slice through this confluence zone, right? Like if you look at the 12-hour momentum, it definitely has the momentum to do so. The question is if buyers are gonna be stepping in, and you can notice if you're gonna be having bullish divergence. But if you don't have bullish divergence, price action can definitely just slice through this confluence zone, 100%. But it's a good area. It's a good area to potentially go long on. Like this would be invalidation. Your invalidation would be below the swing low right here. This should give you enough for room to let your trade play out. And your first target would be this level right here. You also have this supply zone right there on the 4-hour, and then your next target would be this confluence zone. And your moonbag target, let's say that would be a break of these highs, right? Do you use volume as confluence before taking a trade? No, I don't use volume at all. I used volume in the past, but it didn't suit my trading style. I didn't find any relative significance of trading volume for my trading style. I know other people are heavily reliant on volume, and it's working really well for them. But for my specific trading style, I don't use volume. If you use momentum oscillators like I do, and volatility trading and Woodsbot levels and Fibonacci, I don't think there's any need for you to look at volume. At least I haven't found a use case for volume in my strategy, right? I'm not talking badly about other trading strategies, but for my trading strategy, it makes no sense to use volume. But yeah, this would be the place where I would be looking for longs. I definitely wouldn't be looking for any shorts right now, so it doesn't make sense to short anything on uni right now. You have a super good potential area, you just need the bullish diversions, right? So set yourself an alert for price action before price action hits this confluence zone. Wait for bullish diversions, and then you can have a really nice long setup on uni. Alright, do you guys have any other questions? Do you guys have any questions regarding my trading strategy? Or how do I find trading setups, or any coins you want me to look at? Otherwise, I will be calling it a day because it's so hot. You will see it in the video, in the recording, but I'm sweating so much, like it's just too hot. Like it's almost 40 degrees here where I live, so like it's basically a sauna at this point in my room. It's freezing here. I love it. Yeah, man, I miss the freezing temperatures. I like it more when it's freezing than when it's burning hot, you know? Yeah, exactly. You can always put clothes on, but you can't take skin off. Yeah, it's just super hot, and I live in the upper part of the building, you know, so the heat rises, right? So it's extra hot. Anyways, so if you guys don't have any questions, I think this was a nice little welcome back stream. Next stream is gonna be on I think Wednesday, right? Yeah, it's gonna be on Wednesday. I'm gonna be creating more educational content. So if you guys have any, do you guys have any topics you want me to talk about? Do you want me to talk about the indicator more, or do you want me to talk more about RSI or liquidity or volatility, momentum, or even volume? You know, I can educate you guys about any trading related topic. So just let me know. The Woodsbot indicator. All right. If you guys have any specific questions, write them down. I'm gonna be including them in the next stream. And I was also thinking about, I don't know if you guys are interested in this. So you guys know we are partnered with Breakout, like the prop firm account, right? And I was thinking about buying an account for myself and potentially find trade setups for the prop firm account on stream and trade on this, you know, and give weekly updates on this prop firm account. I don't know if that guys interests you guys, but I think it's nice for people to see how to actually manage your position size, manage your risk, how to find trading setups via the Woodsbot indicator. but also how to run up an account yourself, you know. So I'm thinking about doing this. I think confluence zone on Unity's chart is lower on Bybit than on Binance. Yeah, this is very possible. I mean, Binance has different prices than Bybit, right? And it also has more history than Bybit. Yeah, okay. So it's hitting. So on Binance, it's hitting the confluence zone right now, but you still don't have any bullish divergence, you know. So if you would have bullish divergence right now on Binance, I think this would be a long. But since you don't have any bullish divergence, you can't really trade it, right? You can use the 55-minute bullish divergence as your entry condition, but I like to be more conservative and wait for a higher time frame bullish divergence, or higher than 5 minutes, you know, so at least the 50-minute time frame. But you can definitely use this bullish divergence if you want to. For me, it's just too, like, the 5-minute chart is just too unreliable, in my opinion. Is Fiatcoin good to hold, or should I sell spot? It depends where your entry is, CT. I mean, I wouldn't be holding, in general, I wouldn't be holding this anyways. Like, Fiatcoin is not a long-term investment, you know. Like, the only long-term investments are, in my opinion, Bitcoin, Hype, Ethereum, you know. 0.156. I can see Fiatcoin going towards your level again. It's sitting right at your daily demand level. Right here, so you have this daily demand zone. I would say if Fiatcoin loses this area, you know, this would be your trigger to sell your spot position, in my opinion. And if you are lucky, price action can hold this supply demand zone and then go back to your entry, right? But even when it comes to spot positions, you should always have a stop loss, right? You can't just hold any coin and not have an invalidation idea, you know. For me, the invalidation would be if price action accepts below this demand level. This is where I would be saying, okay, this is not looking the best for Fiatcoin. But as long as it's holding this zone, you know, it's fine to pump higher. So if you're lucky, you can definitely get out of your trade, maybe even with a little bit of profits. But I would say use this is your invalidation, you know. If price action comes back down below this again, you should probably sell your spot position. In general, do you think we are in a good period to fill some altcoin spot bags, and which alts do you suggest? I don't think it's the time for altcoins just yet. You have to keep in mind that like Bitcoin is gonna take a lot of time before bottoming out, you know. It's just gonna take some time. Even though Bitcoin is probably gonna be bouncing even potentially towards 74k, right? This is still a lower high, and it's still gonna be rejecting probably after this. And if this is the low for Bitcoin, which I don't think it is yet, I'm not convinced that this is the low yet, but if it is, It's still gonna be having a lower high probably. It's still gonna be rejecting. It's still gonna be consolidating. Bitcoin needs time to form a bottom, and it's gonna be the same for altcoins, you know. And if you look at the Bitcoin dominance charts, this is not looking super bearish, right? Like this is looking like Bitcoin dominance is forming a base. You know, this looks like Bitcoin is forming a base. And if my thesis plays out and Bitcoin is gonna be bouncing and then rejects, this rejection right here, this is where Bitcoin dominance is gonna be pumping a lot, you know. When that Bitcoin dominance is gonna be pumping, maybe potentially to this area again, this is where you can load up on altcoins. And this is where I will be looking for Hype, for example. I think Hype is probably the best looking altcoin on the monthly time frame. I think Ethereum for me is still an altcoin. I think Ethereum is also worth to invest in. I'm also interested in Pump Fund, but this is a position where I'll be definitely risking less money in. I don't know what this coin is doing, but the chart at least looks pretty nice, you know. But I'm not gonna be buying spot from this coin because I don't know what it's gonna be doing. What happens when a coin is forming a base? How can we translate that? What this basically means is that if you have a trend like this, or let me show it on Bitcoin, right? So you have a trend, you have a coin going up, right? You can see how this is pumping towards the upside, right? And then if you go to the weekly chart, you can see that once you have a massive pump of when a coin is pumping strongly, you can see afterwards that the same coin is going to be consolidating, aka forming a base. You can see that Bitcoin is, even though it's trending down a little bit, it's just pulling back and forming a base, right? It's ranging, it's consolidating. It all means basically the same thing. And a coin needs to consolidate and form a base before it's going to be pumping up again. This is just how a trend works, you know. What people thinking a coin is gonna do is gonna do this, right? This can happen, but this is what you see on Hype, right? But when it comes to Bitcoin, for example, or assets that have a higher market cap, price action is gonna look like this. It's trending up, it's gonna be consolidating, and then trending up again. You know, consolidating, forming a base, trending up again, and so forth and so on, you know. This is the more realistic way to look at a trend when it comes at least to higher market coins like Bitcoin. And the same thing goes for indexes as well. So if you look at Bitcoin dominance, this is forming a base, this is holding support. And I can see this trending higher and altcoins getting wrecked a bit, you know. So I will be buying altcoins when I know for sure that the bottom is in for Bitcoin. And I'm not quite sure if the bottom is in yet on Bitcoin. For me, Bitcoin needs to pump first, then reject, and it needs to either hold this level, consolidate for some time, and then I'm gonna be know this is the bottom, or Bitcoin is gonna be rejecting, sweep this low, and this is where I'll be buying altcoins and Bitcoin, you know. So you don't need to rush in. You have a lot of time to buy anything, to buy Bitcoin and to buy altcoins. I don't think you need to FOMO in or anything. So take your time, and yeah. So I'm gonna call it a day here. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you guys coming for the stream. It's been 1 week since I saw you guys, so nice to see you again. And we're gonna be seeing us on Wednesday, I think. Yeah, Wednesday. And then wait, do I actually stream on Wednesday? I forgot. Yeah, we're gonna be seeing us on Wednesday, and afterwards on Sunday. I'm gonna be preparing some educational content. And yeah, thank you guys for having me. See you guys in the next stream. Bye bye.